third event, presentations. I'm Eric, Education Program Coordinator with Canadian Geographic, and it's a pleasure to be your host for today's presentation. Marine Month is an exciting program that offers students like yourselves the opportunity to dive into the world of Canada's marine industry, exploring the people, projects, careers, technologies, and adventures that shape this vital sector. So over the course of October, we are hosting 7 live presentations, each offering you a chance to meet real professionals working on land and at sea. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the individuals that you'll meet today, as well as the projects and careers that we'll discuss, these are all located across the traditional territories of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. And we extend our gratitude for their ongoing stewardship of our lands and waters. As well, I'd like to express our great appreciation to the Canadian Marine Careers Foundation, our valued partners who have made it possible for us to bring you the Marine Month program. So for those of you who are joining us on screen at the end of the presentation, please prepare a couple questions for our special guest today. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, please feel free to share your comments and your questions in the chat, and we'll make sure our presenter responds during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. All right, well, it's time to begin our next marine adventure. Today's presentation focuses on Marine Atlantic, and we have a very special guest with us from that organization, Mr. Dwayne Symes. Hello.
Hello, Eric. Hello, everybody that's tuning in from all the different schools and that. And yeah, I'd like to say thanks to the teachers and the students that have taken the time to come listen to me talk today about the geographical areas that we sail in and that we service. And yeah, and hopefully we'll have a little fun presentation here for you, and we can get going.
All right. Well, looking forward to it, and I'll see you at the end for the Q&A session.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, my name is Dwayne Symes, and I have a presentation here for you. It's a slideshow. It's got some nice videos, some great pictures, and yeah, I will discuss them as we go along, and we'll talk about Marine Atlantic, and we'll talk about what we do, which is Marine Atlantic is a ferry service that connects Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador, and we carry passengers and commercial traffic, which is freight to Newfoundland and Labrador, and also obviously back the other way. And if you have any questions, like Eric said, we'll hold on to them to the end, write them down, or you can put them in the comments. There's going to be somebody that's going to be monitoring that. And yeah, so once again, my name is Dwayne Symes, and I am a chief engineer on the vessels here at Marine Atlantic. So let's begin. Where does Marine Atlantic operate from? We operate from the Atlantic Ocean, actually. I'm just having a little trouble getting this going here. And yeah, so we're in the Atlantic Ocean. We travel across the Cabot Strait, and the Atlantic Ocean is actually pretty big. So here we go. We're going to have our first quiz of the day, just to see what you might know about the Atlantic Ocean. So how much water do you think is in the Atlantic Ocean? Is it A, 10% of the world's water, B, 20% of the world's water, or C, 40% of the world's water? So I will get the teachers to poll your class, and we'll write the answers in the chat section, and we'll see how everybody's doing. Like, if you can come up with the answer, I'll give you about 10 to 15 seconds. And I see that some people are already responding, and we'll see what the correct answer is. Well, we're getting some different answers here. Teachers, have you polled your question to your students? And we'll see what the answer is. The answer is B, 20% of the world's water. So that's correct. The Atlantic Ocean is the second largest ocean basin in the world. And 20% or 1/5 of the world's water is in that ocean basin. So if that's the second largest one, does anybody learned in school yet maybe what the largest ocean basin might be? And if you're living out in British Columbia on the West Coast, you might be very familiar with it. And that's a pretty good hint because, yes, it is the Pacific Ocean. So what is Marine Atlantic and what do we do? As I noted earlier, we are a passenger ferry service. We have a collection of 4 vessels in our fleet. The vessels are of what they call roll-on, roll-off passenger vessels. So what that means is that vehicles and commercial traffic, they drive onto the vessel and then they drive off the vessel. So where do we operate? Well, we operate between Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador, but we'll get into that a little bit later, and we'll talk a little bit more about our fleet. So as you can see on this map of Canada, this is where Newfoundland and Labrador is located. It's on the east coast of Canada. And as you can see, and we'll look at it a little later in another slide, but Nova Scotia and Cape Breton is just underneath it. So let's see what you might know with another quiz about facts about Newfoundland and Labrador. So which of these facts about Newfoundland and Labrador are true? Is it A, we have our own time zone? B, we have the world's oldest rocks? C, we used to be our own country? Or D, all the above? So teachers, how about we poll our students again and write the answer in the chat. And I'll give you guys 10 to 15 seconds to see what you think the answer might be. I see we got some different answers there coming in. What if this is a little tricky question here? Anyway, the answer is D, all the above. So let's talk about some of the answers in this question here. So Newfoundland and Labrador does have its own time zone. Yeah, it's a half hour, that's 30 minutes, ahead of provinces like Nova Scotia, PEI, and New Brunswick. And if you were living out in British Columbia on the West Coast, it's about 4.5 hours difference. So if you want to think about it, students that go to school in Newfoundland and Labrador are probably into their afternoon session, getting ready to come out of school, when students in British Columbia are just starting. So they start the day earlier than anywhere else in the country. And the world's oldest rocks. Well, if you don't know this, but Newfoundland and Labrador actually has a nickname, and it is the Rock. So that would also mean that they would, because of the world's oldest rocks and a lot of rocks, that they have that nickname. And finally, Newfoundland and Labrador was its own country. It was also the last province to join Canada in March of 1949. And before anybody asks, yes, that is way before I was born. And I'm sure a lot of us on here today were not born when Newfoundland and Labrador joined the province as a province into Canada. All right. So as you see here now, here's a few pictures taken of images of Newfoundland and Labrador and also in Nova Scotia. So if you look towards the left-hand side, you'll see 2 birds there with very colorful beaks. Those are called puffins. And they're found, their nesting place is in Elliston, Newfoundland and Labrador. So this is a very popular spot with tourists. They come to see these birds and take pictures, and it's beautiful scenery. If you look at the image on the right-hand side, on the lower part, this is a little snapshot of the, they call it the world-famous Cabot Trail in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. So this area has a lot of beautiful scenery and some mountains, and You can drive it in approximately 4 to 6 hours, and it's also a very popular tourist destination. And up at the top of the right-hand corner is a lighthouse, Cape Spear, and that's located in Cape Spear, Newfoundland and Labrador. And this lighthouse and this point of land is actually the most easterly point of land in North America. So if you were at Cape Spear today and you were to sail across the ocean in an easterly direction, you probably wouldn't see land again until you hit Ireland. So that's it. This is the last point of land on the east coast of North America. So where is it that we actually go? What are our routes? So as you can see now, Nova Scotia is shown on the map, and in that you can see North Sydney, Nova Scotia, which is on Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. And we run between North Sydney, Nova Scotia, and Port aux Basques, Newfoundland and Labrador. And that run is about 96 nautical miles. And it takes us somewhere between 6.5 and 7 hours, depending on the time of day that we run. We also run a summertime route to Argentia, Newfoundland and Labrador. And that is a much, much longer route. It's like about 280 nautical miles, and it takes about 16 hours. So we do run multiple crossings a day to Port aux Basques and North Sydney. And because of that, of course, our passengers and our crew have cabins, and you can actually sleep on board the vessel. And we also do a daytime run as well. So I'm going to give you a little fun fact. Did you know that at Marine Atlantic, we bring approximately 50% of all goods to Newfoundland and Labrador? So when you say goods, you say, well, what exactly do you bring? Well, if you think about going into a Walmart or Canadian Tire or somewhere like that, and you look around the shelves in Newfoundland and Labrador, about 50% of the items that are there were actually probably transported at one point or another across one of our vessels over to Newfoundland and Labrador. Some of the items that we bring are oxygen for hospitals, scooters for getting around, and fresh pineapple to try to enjoy in the summertime. I also mentioned earlier that we do have carry passengers. This is a family that crossed over with us earlier this summer. Did you know that they actually, like I said earlier, they get a cabin and take a night crossing and actually sleep on the boat? Did you think that pets could come on? We had 2 dogs, just like Milkshake and Scooter, cross with us as well. And they've got their own special places. We do have some pet-friendly cabins, and we also have a kennel where they can hang out with other dogs, just like them. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. This is where I work. Well, not exactly where the arrow is pointing to, maybe a little further back on the boat. But this is the Blue Petite, and my name is Dwayne Symes, and I'm a chief engineer, and I work down in the engine room. And as you can imagine, there's lots of stuff down in the engine room. I get lots of questions. How big are the engines? How much stuff is down there? What's the horsepower? How long is the boat? I hear these things all the time from passengers when I'm on board the vessel. And now to get an idea of what we have, what kind of engines we have, I'll give you a picture. Now, here's a fun fact. We were looking to see, our engines are super big, by the way, and they look big, and they're very impressive when you stand next to them. They're almost 2 stories tall, approximately 15 to 20 feet tall, and they're about 30 feet long. And we have 2 of them. And if you can believe it, one of our main engines weighs approximately 256,000 kilograms. Try to imagine what 256,000 kilograms feels or looks like. Well, it's about the same as 42 African elephants. And that would be a lot of elephants. So once again, my name is Dwayne Symes, and I'm chief engineer on board the Blue Petite. And you'd think, well, what do you do? How did you become a chief engineer? Well, I can tell you that it pretty well didn't happen overnight. It took a long time for me to get where I got to. And some of the things that I'm involved with or I'm responsible for is to make sure that all the machinery and all the equipment is running in tip-top condition. Of course, I've got a great engine room team that helps me with that. So some of the things that you don't kind of think about when you're on a vessel is, where does the power come from? Well, they come from generators that are on board the vessel down in the engine room that produce electricity. We also provide water supply for all your toilets and showers and sinks that are on throughout the cabins and throughout the vessel. We also provide heating systems and cooling air conditioning systems to keep us kind of warm in the wintertime and cool in the summer. And there's so many systems and operational equipment on board that we're always busy. Even life saving equipment, things that you don't think about, like our fire detection panels and our system, which help us detect if there's a fire or an issue on board, and also the lifeboats. We help maintain and keep them running just in case we need to use it. And if you didn't know, we actually do drills twice a week, or twice a shift, I should say, once a week. So when we go for a 2-week shift, we will test our lifeboats and we'll do boat and fire drills. And that's all to make sure that everybody's kept safe while they're on board the vessel. So like I said, I didn't become a chief engineer overnight. It started way back when I was just a teenager coming out of high school, and I decided to go to a marine trade school, and it took me 4 years. And while I was at school, I took a lot of courses that I'd never even heard of before because they weren't offered in high school, obviously. We had marine engineering courses and ship construction courses and stability and instrumentation. And we also had math and physics, just like in high school. I took these courses, and we also had some hands-on training. And that was like welding and machining to make parts and even engine overhauls. But still, you end up going out and what they call it is when you go to a marine school and you're in the program and you're a student, they call you a cadet. So there's 2 different disciplines. You can be a navigation cadet, which works on the bridge and helps with the navigating of the vessel and getting it from A to B. And then you have engineering, which is down in the engine room, and we learn all that trade, and we go out on sea phase, and we learn more as we get older. So once I was done 4 years of training, I got to be a marine engineer. I had a 4th class certificate, and I went and sailed on various vessels and learned more and got more sea time. And as I gained more sea time and more experience, I learned more things about troubleshooting and how to solve problems when problems arise. And that's the stuff that you learn that helps you keep going throughout the process. So as I get older and more experience, I wrote more certificates. Finally, I wrote a 1st class certificate, which allowed me to become a chief engineer. So I've spent 34 years in the marine industry. And I know that seems like a really long time to some of you people, but it seems to go by pretty fast when I think back on it. But anyway, that's how I started out as a marine engineer. But I got to say, once again, I have a great engineering crew at Marine Atlantic. There's 15 other people besides myself that work in the engine room to help keep the main engines going, the generators and the lights on, and keep everybody safe and healthy as they cross over on our vessels. And and one thing I can definitely say is that after 34 years, I still manage to learn something new almost every single day. So at Marine Atlantic, as you can see coming up on the screen, we have 4 vessels in our fleet. And we also have a new one coming in 2024, but I'll talk about that a little later. But right now, we have 4 vessels in our fleet. They are the Atlantic Vision, the Blue Betise, the Leif Erikson, and the Highlanders. So 3 of these vessels are named after either an individual or a group of people. And I'm pretty sure you might be able to guess which 3 they are. So I'll start. Blue Betise. That's the vessel that I work on currently. It's actually named for the dedication of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment that fought during the First World War, or they called it the Great War. So why did they call this regiment Blue Betise? It was actually a nickname that was bestowed on them for the gear that they wore on their legs. They actually had wool leggings that run from about their ankles to just below the knee as part of their uniform. Their uniform being very light brown to brown in color, but the leggings were actually blue, which made them stand out amongst everybody else. So they ended up getting the nickname Blue Betise. The same with the Highlanders. It's also named after a military regiment out of Nova Scotia. They were called the Highlanders. They do humanitarian assistance and peacekeeping, and they are still in place today. Although today, the Highlanders Regiment has now been broken up into the Cape Breton Highlanders and the Nova Scotia Highlanders. And I'm sure you've guessed, Leif Erikson was an actual person. The ship was named on the 1,000th anniversary of Leif Erikson arriving in the New World. He actually arrived in the New World 500 years before Christopher Columbus. And last but not least, the Atlantic Vision. Well, although not named after a person or a group of people, the Atlantic Vision kind of has a little bit of a history in how it got named. It turns out students in elementary schools, when the Vision came into service, a contest was made for elementary school children in Nova Scotia and in Newfoundland and Labrador to come up with a name. And I believe it was a young individual in Newfoundland and Labrador that came up with the name Atlantic Vision. And then that's the name that has stuck. So people always ask me, like I said earlier, how much horsepower we have, how long are your vessels? That's a very common question. So our vessels are approximately 200 meters long. And now you're saying, how long is 200 meters? I try to visualize it. So if you were to take 4 Olympic swimming pools and put them end to end, that would be the same roughly as 200 meters. The same with the Big Ben clock tower in London, England. If you took 2 of them and laid them out end to end, that also would be 200 meters. Or it could be 4 leaning towers of Pisa. Or if you went and gathered all the moms and dads in your neighborhood and gathered up 33 pickup trucks and lined them up, you would have approximately 200 meters. It's quite long. Here's another little fun fact. Did you know that in 2022, 92,180 commercial vehicles traveled with us? And when we say commercial vehicles, we're thinking about like big tractor trailers and commercial goods. If you went and stacked all of those trailers up, it would reach the Starlink satellite in outer space. That's pretty far. Almost too far to imagine, really. So I talked about we had a new vessel coming, and here it is. It's called the Alisuanu. And before I go any further in talking about this vessel, I'm going to play you a really quick video that's going to show how the vessel is coming together. It's being built in a dry dock, and you'll see the blocks all come together, and it looks quite impressive. It's a time-lapse video, so of course it won't take the 6 or 7 months that it took to build. We can see it all here now in about 45 seconds. That's a pretty neat video, I got to say. So that's a pretty neat video, I got to say. I mean, it almost looks like Legos coming together and building blocks, and of course it's just welded instead of snapping together. But yeah, it's pretty neat to see that video. So you might be asking, Alisuanu, what does that actually mean? Alisuanu means traveler in Mi'kmaq. And as another thing, the name was suggested by one of our own employees here at the company. That's pretty cool, eh? It's going to be able to carry about 1,000 passengers, and it is super, super quiet. This is going to be the most quiet boat that we have here at Marine Atlantic. That's to help protect the marine life that's going to be swimming underneath it as we travel back and forth from Newfoundland and Labrador to Nova Scotia and back again. So all the fish, sea turtles, whales, all the marine life that's in the ocean is going to be more protected because our boat is super, super quiet. And the boat will soon be here too. It's coming this next year, early next year, and will be in service next summer. So, time for a quiz. Everybody loves a quiz. I'm sure you don't, but these are pretty easy. So, the next question is, how far do all of our ships travel each year? Would it be A, to the moon and back, B, around the world, C, to England and back? Teachers, poll your class, talk to your students, and put your answers down in the chat comment section. And I'll give you guys about 10 to 15 seconds to come up with some answers. So how far do all of our ships travel each year? That seems like a long distance to the moon and back. We'll see if that's it or not. I see some people think it's A. A is the answer, to the moon and back. A little bit of a trick question because it was how much distance all of our ships, so it would be the 4 ships all together. But yeah, that's quite far. So you might be asking yourself, what is there to do? What kind of jobs are there on board a vessel at Marine Atlantic? Well, if you look at the screen here, there's at least 30 jobs there that we have that are different and unique. It could be everything from cooking to cleaning to welcoming people on board, to repairing machinery, to navigating the vessel, to steering the ship. There seems to be a wide range of jobs. So let's meet some of the people that I get the pleasure of working with here at Marine Atlantic. We have Nicholas, Rebecca, Jamie Lee, Victoria, Seamus, John, and Hamza. They're all going to be in the next couple of videos that you're about to see. Let's see what they have to say about working at Marine Atlantic. We're going to listen to Nick and Rebecca talk about their job at Marine Atlantic and what got them involved. Give me a quick second.
When I came here to Marine Atlantic, I started in the steward department, and I learned pretty quickly that Marine Atlantic does allow you to transfer to different departments and gives you the tools to sort of create your own career.
This is definitely one of the types of careers that you could advance yourself any way you want. I came here as a summer student as I was going to school for different post-secondary, and I changed my whole career path based on this.
This wasn't the job that I thought I would be doing, but I'm very happy that I landed here and was able to get the opportunities that I did. So it's a great career to definitely try.
That's pretty cool. We're going to go on to another video now of Victoria.
Here to Marine Atlantic, I started in the steward department, and I learned pretty quickly.
This is Victoria. She's a navigation cadet that was on the Atlantic Vision this summer, and she's going to talk about her experience at Marine Atlantic. And once again, navigation cadet, she's a student, so she's out on her summer sea phase trying to learn the job.
I chose to enter into the marine industry because it is different every single day. You're not sitting in front of a computer. You're not in an office. You're not stuck at your desk every day. You're here, you're hands-on, and it's a very rewarding career. I'm proud because we bring all of these goods to Newfoundland. We bring the oxygen that's required for our hospitals. We bring the propane so you can have your barbecues and your fireplaces. We bring all of your goods that go to your grocery store. We bring everything that you want to this province. So there's a sense of pride that whenever you need something, it came from us. Hi, I'm Victoria, and I'm a navigation cadet on the Atlantic Vision.
Okay, those three make the job at Marine Atlantic seem pretty cool, eh? Yeah, it's great to see a lot of young people being involved in the marine industry. I mean, they're not all old like me. There is a lot of young people, and there's a job for everybody. So, once again, it's quiz time. We're going to go do this next couple slides are going to be some quizzes, and I'm sure you guys are getting the answers all right. So we'll see how this goes. Next question is, who steers the ship? Is it A, the steward, B, the engine room assistant, C, the quartermaster, or D, the captain? Once again, teachers, poll your students and put your answers in the comment section, and we'll see how you guys do. I'll give you about 10 to 15 seconds on this one as well. Who steers the ship? I wonder who it is. I think I know who it is. But anyway, see what you guys all think. See, some people think it's the captain. See if you're right or not. Let's check the answer. Give you a couple more seconds and we'll look at the answer. The answer is C, quartermaster. How many people thought it was the captain? Yeah, we actually have a crew member that actually stands at the wheel, and the captain tells them which way to steer, and they actually steer the ship. And I think a lot of people thought it might have been the captain. Let's try another question, see how you guys do. Okay. Where is the port side of the ship when you're looking ahead? Is it A, on the left, B, on the right, C, on the bow, or D, on the stern? So this is a nautical term, port side of the ship. I'll give you teachers, poll your students. We'll put the answers in the comment section, and we'll see how you guys did. I'll give you another 10 to 15 seconds on this one as well. Port side of the ship. Get some answers. Wonder, some people are thinking it's A, some think it's B. We'll see how you're doing. Ready for the answer? The answer is A, on the left. And kind of a little tricky one. Sometimes it's easy to remember. Some people think that the word port and the word left each have 4 letters, and that's how they sometimes remember it. Okay, we'll go one more little quiz question. See how you guys are doing. Okay, our next question is, what is the back of the ship called? Is it A, the bow, B, the port, C, the stern, or D, starboard? Teachers, once again, poll your students and write your answers in the comment section, and we'll see how you guys do. Bow, port, stern, or starboard? Good answer there. Some think it's B, some think it's C. 5 or 6 more seconds. All right, we'll look for the answer. The answer to that question is C, stern. Yeah, the back of the ship is called the stern. All right, I got another video coming up, and then we'll get ready for some of your questions. But let's hear from Seamus and John and Jamie Lee and Rebecca and Victoria and Hamza one more time. And let's quite this video.
I picked a career in the marine industry because every day it is problem solving. It is its own adventure. Even on a crossing that you do every day, the same route, there's always something different about it. It's never the same.
Working on the water is so different than others because it's an adventure every day. When you walk aboard and you have close to 1,000 people for passengers, there's probably 90 to 100 crew. It's massive. You just have to sit back and really realize the sheer volume of what you're doing, the number of people you're moving. So you're always kept mentally fresh. You're always kept on your feet.
A career at sea is different because out here we are kind of our own family. So it's a very good environment to work in.
My favorite part of the job would definitely be the people. Everyone's here. It's very much a family, and they help you out a lot more than you would would think. I chose to enter into the marine industry because nothing in university really was drawing me to go to university. So when I graduate school in a year, I will get my bridge watchkeeping ticket, so that will qualify me to be a third mate. And then once I get that, I would like to get some more sea time and get my master mariner's ticket so I can be a captain.
Donc, si vous aimez travailler un métier qui sort de l'ordinaire, un métier pour les gens courageux, un métier pour les gens qui aiment relever les défis, je suis sûr que ce métier vous convient parfaitement.
So that's our presentation. I hope you guys, students, all learned something here today. I hope it's made you a little curious into maybe pursuing a career down the road when you get old enough to decide what you want to do for a career, that you might think about coming to the marine industry and having one of those jobs like some of the people that we saw in the videos. So what else are you curious about? Here's your chance now to kind of ask me some questions. I'm sure somebody will stop me with something, but let's give it a try.
Great. Well, yeah, thanks, Dwayne. That was awesome. A lot of really interesting stuff there. Yeah, it's great to see a lot of the stuff that goes on in the background that we maybe don't think about normally. And yeah, that time lapse was really cool as well. Really loved it. So thank you so much. So yeah, it's time for questions. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of time, but we can hopefully get a few questions in. So Dwayne, we do have two classrooms in the background here that might be able to join us live.
Okay.
Miss Coburn's class and class from George Webster School, if you guys can turn on your cameras and microphones, I'll be able to pull you on in a second for a question. So have a question ready. All right, and for those on YouTube, please feel free to add some questions for Dwayne in the chat. We'll make sure he responds. All right. Well, all right, Dwayne. Let's see if maybe Miss Coburn, see if your class can join us. Let's see here. All right. Hello.
Oh, at this time, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
So at this time, we have been researching careers, and we've been looking at the big picture. And then what you just did for us is bring in the small pictures, which is all those little jobs that we didn't know existed. So it's fantastic. And we were just wondering, if you were going to go to college or university, what would be the main area of study that would get you into, that would drive you into one of those little jobs? Like, what would be the main area of study? Like, if I'm a kinesiology grad from McMaster, so I'm phys ed, right? I would be a phys ed teacher. So what would be the main area of study?
On the engineering side, it's a lot of math and sciences, chemistry. That's if you go down that route into like, there's more than just obviously the engineering side, but that's what I did. And when I was in high school, like everyone else, I had this in my mind that I wanted to go to the Canadian Coast Guard College. That's actually where I went. And it was a 4-year program, and I needed to know what it took to get in there. And of course, the guidance counselors kind of helped me through that and made sure that I selected the right courses. But it was math and physics and science oriented. But because I specifically wanted to go to the Canadian Coast Guard College, and I wouldn't think about this, but French was a second language was also important as well for Canadian Coast Guard College. Now that's not all marine schools, obviously, but if you're on the navigation side, I think there is math and sciences as well. There's stuff that, and of course, I can't speak so much for that because I didn't take that program, but then there's also other jobs in the marine industry that don't require as long a schooling either. There's the community colleges, and they put on like if you wanted to be a deckhand or an engine room assistant, they're much shorter classes, and they're more. I think when you get to the colleges, they're more hands-on, and you're learning the basics like seamanship and stuff for deckhands, and you're learning. But for school-wise, I think still just having the basics and the university prep courses helps you obviously going to college or a more like in-depth one that might be 4 years instead of 9 months, right? And of course, there's other positions like at Marine Atlantic. If you wanted to start out as a steward, or even if you want to be a cook, like you would go to a community college and take or what do you call it, culinary management course, and then eventually you get your red seal. But there's also jobs that just require a high school education, and you apply and do an interview, and they obviously train you in once you get there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is it going to, would the jobs force you to relocate very often?
You know what? That is one of the beauties of working in the marine industry, and I will use the broader term instead of just Marine Atlantic. But where I work right now, it's mostly time on, time off system wherever you work. Whether it's a 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, or like where I work at, it's 15 days on, 15 days off. It's time on, time off. So really, I've worked with people that, like I worked out of when I worked at Coast Guard, I worked out of Dartmouth. I had people that worked on the ship with me that lived in British Columbia, because you have a month off. They're just paying their travel. That's all, right? Like, but you can almost live where you want to live as long as you're willing to travel to get to work. But it's not like you're going in the morning and coming home in the evening. You're going for a period of time and then you're coming back. So that's one of the beauties. If you like to travel, I know people that went into the marine industry because they wanted a job where they only had to work half the time or work part of the time, and they wanted to travel the world. They were younger. And it was funny to hear sometimes why people join an industry because like of travel. You would never think that would be something, but in that person, that's what they wanted.
One of my students was asking, we know that everybody's job's very important, but if you had to select one that you had to depend on, what would that job be?
Obviously, you know, the captain is the one that's fully in charge of everything, right? As much as I would like to say I'm the most important, I know it's not true. I almost got to say, because I'm sure there's Marine Atlantic captains that maybe I'm watching this, so I'd like to say it's me, and the other chief engineers would like to agree. But you know, I'm specific to one particular part of the vessel. The captain is the overriding command or authority of the whole vessel.
And that's what Khadija said. She goes, after the captain.
Well, then I'm going to say it's
my students have a good sense of humor.
Yeah. The chief mate is also very important as well. I mean, they are also our security and safety officer on board, so that would rank up there as well, I would have to say.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Well, sorry to stop this. I would love to, wish we could get more questions in, but we're already a little bit over time. So, but thank you very much for those questions.
Wonderful. And we're off to music. So you've got us singing.
Perfect. All right. Well, Ms. Coburn's class, George Webster's class, thank you everybody for joining us. And just want to remind everyone before we go, we have our next Marine Month presentation in English will be on Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time with British Columbia Coast Pilots. So make sure to register for that and check out our Marine Month website for learning activities. You can also, we also have the link for Marine Atlantic. If you wanted to find out some more info on them and ask more questions, you can do so. But before we go, just want to say thank you, Dwayne. Really appreciate you being here. Great presentation. Really learned a lot. So thanks. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Well, take care, and we'll see you at the next event. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.